Hey gang, Rod at East Coast Lumberjack. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, be sure you do. Lots of good stuff coming up here in the next few weeks. This week what we're going to do, we're going to tie together the last few, okay? So this is actually part 3 in the how to sharpen an axe. And I'm finally going to get back. Last week we had a little bit of an interlude, but I'll pull it all together so you know why I did what I did. So what we did, we started a few weeks ago with this. Okay, it's a Swedish axe, and I ground this beautiful, perfect edge out here on the end of it, and we're going to talk about this in just a bit. But before we do, let's get to my package. Now, I haven't opened this yet. Okay, this came over a month ago in the mail, and it's part 3 on how to finish an axe. Now, I've never used these before, so I'm debating using these on this video or using the ones that I always use, which is my Norton. But my Nortons are oil stones, and I want to show you how these work, but these are water stones. So, when we get, once you get your axe and you put your edge on it with either a file or a grinder, one of the two, you're actually going to put your bevel on the end of your axe. And there's advantages to each. Obviously, a file is a lot cheaper. The grinder, which we've been using, I'll get right back to the stones here. Actually, what we need to do with the stones. I got to do this. So let's talk about the stones just a little bit before we get into the nitty gritty. So, okay, I had to pay duty. Of course, they came from America, so I paid 20 bucks worth of duty on them. These only cost me 112 bucks. Okay, Canadian. So, this is what they come like. Okay, this is it. Sharp Pebble is the name of the company. And these are pretty flippin' sweet looking stones, okay? Now, I bought a bunch of stones in my day. This is what they look like inside. They come with all kinds of instructions. Here's your instruction manual. And it says right on these, submerge the wet stone in water for 10 to 15 minutes before sharpening or until air bubbles stop coming out. Mount the wet stone in the silicone rubber. Place it on the flat, non-slip surface. Always keep the wet stone surface wet while sharpening. Okay, so there's 2 grits on this one. 3,000 and 8,000. Okay, so this is fine stuff. So this is the stone. Okay, still in the package. Right here. So we're going to use our little X-Acto knife and cut her open. Okay, so you're seeing it right here, first thing. So I've never used these before. And I know they need to go in water. So I've got my water here. It's not windshield washer fluid. I just use that to hold the water. But I'm going to put the water in my tray. I've got a little tray here, plastic tray. I'm going to set it on the bench. Hopefully there's no cracks in it. And I need enough to submerge 2 stones. So there. So number 1 is going in. Oh wow, it's really bubbling. Can you hear that? Look at the bubbles. It's just like it's boiling. Wow, so this baby's thirsty. So that's one. That's the 3,000. Now the other things that this comes with is pretty sweet. Before I do that, let me get... One-track mind, okay? I do not multitask, in case you... And you probably realize that now. Yeah, this guy can't keep... No, buddy, I don't. One thing at a time. Now, the other neat thing that these come with, here's the other one. This is a 400 to 1,000. So I've got 400 grit, then I've got a 1,000 grit, and I've got a 3,000 grit, and an 8,000 grit. So, it's got, geez, till the bubbles stop. Well, the bubbles have stopped already. Well, just a few here and there. This other one, well, I'll put it in too so you can hear it. But man, it's aggressively sucking up the water. So this one here, I'm just taking the wrap off it. I don't know, maybe that should stay on there. I don't know, that little, Maybe not. So I'm going to put that in as well. So I'll put that in here so you can actually hear it again. Okay, so if I'm nice and quiet and I put that in, you can hear the bubbles. It's just crazy. Oh, that one's not nearly as bad. First one was crazy with the bubbles. Okay, it's starting. It's just it's starting to suck up. Not nearly as aggressive as the really fine one was. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you, okay, there's nothing with this one. What does come with this one, though, in here in the box with it, is this little bird. Okay, from Sharp Pebble. This is really good because what I have found over the years, oil stones last a lot longer. They stay true a lot better. Okay, so my Nortons, this one here, I beat it to pieces, but look at that. It's still just as flat as can be on the top, both sides of it. Ends are busted off because I've dropped it a few times, but it's really flat. So you want it true, okay? In order to get a good edge, you want it true. And my Nortons hold their shape very well. Now, water stones, I know, if you see a water stone, a lot of times they've got a big cup in them. That's what this is for. This stone is to keep it true. So once you start getting a little indent, this stone here, back and forth, and it will actually true your stone again. So I really like that. And I came with both of them. The other thing I got with the 4,000 to 8,000, sorry, 3,000 to 8,000, is this. Okay, so it's a nice little box, wooden box, and it'll hold the stone. And I'm assuming that this little rubber piece will fit right in there, like it does. So the rubber piece, and then your stone fits right on top of that. And this here has a rubber base, so it can't move. Okay, so that's kind of nice. And this one also comes with one of those stones to true it again. So, 2 stones, 400 grit, 1,000 grit, 3,000 grit, 8,000 grit, 2 truing stones, a base, your rubber bases, and then the other thing I got thrown in was this here baby. Okay, it's a chisel guide, and I got this, of course, because eventually I want to use my I want to resharpen my chisel, not my chisel, my spoke shave blade with this. Oh wow, nice little case, plastic case. I don't know, these guys are pretty impressive stuff. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So it's got a roller on the bottom of it, instructions with it, and of course this here threads in and out. Okay, so as we spin it, and it'll thread to hold whatever it is you're going to put in here. And of course my blade from my goes that close. It might fit. We'll see. Oh, there it goes. Oh yeah, it will. No problem. Okay, so I can put it in there and it'll hold it tight, and then you put it out so this bearing rolls back and forth on the bearing rolls back and forth on your stone, and of course you can put that holds the angle so you can do up your blade from your spoke shave. So man, I like this. So the 2 stones, the squaring stones, everything for 112 bucks. Okay, in my world, that's a good buy. So I'm pretty happy. So these are all here. I'm just going to take out my base, put it on there. Even though I probably, you'll see the way I finish axes here, I probably won't use those a lot. But anyhow, they're there when I need them. So, so the stones are in water. That's the biggest thing I want to do is get the stones in water. So back to this. Now, so we talked about when you're putting a bevel on your axe, okay, you're either going to, and some guys use the rag, fold your rag a few times and set it on there, and then use your file back and forth. And there's 2 ways to use a file. You can have your handle on the file, which I showed a little while ago, like this here, and you can have it set and then back and forth like this, okay? So you're going back and forth over your edge like this, okay? The problem with that is you use the same teeth on your file the whole time, okay? And it doesn't take long, and all of a sudden they're clogged, or else they'll wear out. Now, what I do is I actually, when I learned, I go the whole way along with my file, okay? The whole way along the edge. So my file's always moving, and then the only problem is your angle will change a little bit, okay? And it takes a lot of practice to get that angle the same, and I've been at this for what, 1985, so 95, 05, 15, man alive, 39 years, it's almost 40, I can't believe I'm that old. But then I look in the mirror and I realize, oh yeah, you are. Anyhow, after that long though, I can usually keep it fairly close, but it will not be as nice as this edge. You need to look at this edge to appreciate it. It's flat as a pancake right from here, and it's a beautiful angle right across there. We set it up 1 centimeter, so we got a 24-degree angle out here the whole way across, and it's perfect. Okay, and that's, I know I'm a little anal retentive, but that's what I like. And I'm using a 1-inch Makita belt sander. Okay, and then what I have a little gizmo here on the end. We put it on, it's got a 90-degree here, and then I put a 90-degree here, so it's flat, the same angle as what my belt is actually grinding. So all I do is lift this up out here. And again, if you don't have that yet, if the wife hasn't given you permission yet, the other thing you can do is use a block of wood. So I knew I had to be up. You use the tangent of your angle, and again, just go back to my previous videos on this, how to sharpen an axe. It's all there. And of course, I knew I needed a centimeter high. So this is the same height as this. Okay, it's the same height. And then of course all I showed you what I did using a protractor, and I drew lines back and forth where they crossed. I drilled a little pilot hole, and then I set my Makita belt sander in the hole, in the vise, and I go back and forth. Okay, and it gives me a beautiful edge. And it's a beautiful edge. So now, to finish your axe, there's 2 things we're going to do. We are going to, there's a lot of little lines. If I get in here close, you can see the little lines. Okay, that's from the belt sander. And I finished it with a 120 grit. Okay, so there's still a few little lines in here. So now what I will do, and I will start with the 400. I'm going to lay it down here flat on that same angle and go back and forth. Okay, back and forth. And all I'm going to do is stone these lines out and give me a nice smooth finish there. So I will need a rag, and I'm going to take my 400. It's still flopping bubbles a little bit. But I'm going to take it. I'm going to set it on my axe right like this. And I'm going to go back and forth. Okay, now I'm doing it here so you can see. But what I could do, I could also put it in my vise. Okay, clamp it in my vise, which actually, if I can get you at that angle, I'm going to do that. As long as I can do it without the camera going off. Last time I touched this thing, it went off. Okay, so what's that look like? Okay, perfect. So what I'll do, you just put it in your vise like this, your axe. There. And then I'm going to take my stone. I'm just going to lay it, just like I showed you, on this edge, and I'm going to go back and forth. And what it's going to do, it's going to take those lines out of the face of that axe, out of the bevel that I've put on there. Okay, now this is impressive. So you want to just, and again, because we've got about 3/4 of an inch here of a bevel, it sits on there really nice. Now I've gone back and forth here, what, about 20 times? So I've gone back and forth about 20 times, and I want to show you what it looks like now. Okay. Okay. So that's what it's looked like now. This is what it looks like before. You can see the lines are deep. Now it's getting really smooth. Okay. That's not bad. That's actually, it's cutting pretty, it's a 400. Now I would like to have probably about 120 or 200 grit for this. Now, and there is a stone, and I will get it. So Sharp Pebble, I'm coming back. Okay, 400 is the bottom one. Now, the thing is, it's doing a lot of work on the metal, but it also does, it takes a fair bit off. You look at my water, it's a little milky now, okay? Because you're taking stuff off the stone as well. I'm just going to keep going back and forth on that to get a nice smooth finish. Take the lines out of it. And it doesn't take long. And of course that's just because I'm nice and flat. So there's a little bit of squeaking because I'm nice and flat on there. And that's what you want. You want to be nice and flat. Okay, so man, this is cutting pretty fast. I'm impressed already. I don't think the Norton will go that fast. Okay, so let's look again. Look at that. It's almost, all the lines are just about gone compared to this. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm not going to do it entirely. But that's getting pretty close. That's not bad. I'll just keep going till the lines have disappeared, is what I'm going to do. Okay, but in the interest of time, because I haven't figured out how to piece these together yet, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to do the other side, same thing. So I've got about 40 strokes on there. Now, how's that? Okay, so if you look at my stone, where I've been using it, it's already caused a few little divots in there. Okay, so, and that's the thing with a water stone. My oil stones will not wear that fast. Now, they won't cut as fast as this, but they don't wear as fast either. So let's go back and do this one here. So the good news is it cuts really well. It doesn't take long to get a good edge in it, a good finish. But she's wearing my stone. And of course, we know that's going to happen. That's why they send you that other little white stone to true it back up with. So all we're doing, we're taking out the grinding lines on that 24-degree angle so it's nice and smooth out to the edge. And just holding it nice and flat on there. So this side here is almost there already too. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. So I'm going to set that back in the water, and I want to show you the next step. Because really, to finish your axe, I'm pretty impressed. Okay, so look at that. Nice finish across there. Okay, both sides. So there's a few more lines to take out of it, but we're getting pretty close. But what I want to show you, so you want to do that with your main bevel. Now, the next step is what matters. Okay, and this is what we do. If you're a competitor, you'll do this to your comp axes. Okay, if you're not, and even if you're out in the woods, guys will carry a little stone with them and they will do this. So what we want to do now is we want to put what I call a MicroBevel. And that's the last millimeter out here. We're going to go back and forth, both sides. And you can see the wire edge on here. Even with that stone, we've taken off most of that wire edge. Okay. And okay, so there it is right there. So what happens is, okay, what happens? If we were to look at this with a magnifying glass, remember we ground both sides. We had those feathers of metal along there, okay? A feather edge, wire edge, I call it. So now what happened, we stoned one side, so that metal has gone here, okay? It's tipped down to the opposite side. Then when you stone the other side, that same one flops back. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go flop that back and forth, that little wire edge. And when that wire edge comes off, it is the keenest your edge will be. Okay, that's what you want. So what I do, and I know this from doing this for years and years and years, is if I put my fingers and my thumb, my finger and thumb, I'm just going to dry this off. If I put them here, okay, and then I let them ride on my axe out here to the edge, that's going to give me a 1 millimeter MicroBevel. And what I'm going to do is go back and forth this way, and then I'm going to flip it over and do it this way. So 4 or 5 strokes. Okay, and then when I run my fingers up, I can feel that wire edge right here. Hear it? On this side, there's nothing. This side, so I flopped it this way. Now I'm going to turn the axe, there's that wire edge, and I'm going to go this way. Back and forth 4 or 5 times. Get a little bit more water. And now that wire edge has gone the other way. So all you're going to do is keep flopping your axe and flopping that wire edge back and forth. So you're just going to keep doing that back and forth. And at some point, whoop, we're almost there. At some point, that wire edge will disappear. So these are my new stones. And I'm pretty impressed. I'm using a 400 grit right now. I'm just going to dry that off and check it again. Oh, and it's gone. Okay. It's peeling. Now, whether I can... Okay, so you can see right there, it'll go right down through that paper lickety-split. So it's a very keen edge. Now, what I would do, I did that with 400. Now I do that with 1,000. Do the same thing with 1,000 grit. And it's really fine. Back and forth. So, that's finishing an axe. With a nice edge. Let me just get it cleaned off here. So one thing about using that water. Okay, and it is. It's razor sharp. So, the last thing I would do is I'd use, now there's a couple of these. This one's an oxalite. Okay, it's from Niagara Falls. This is where this was made. Oxalite. It's a razor hone. A locksite. Okay, so this is it here. If I can get the light on it, right there. A locksite. Razor hone. The other thing that will work is you can get an Arkansas. Okay, that's a Lee Valley Arkansas stone, or you can get a Punjab. Okay, but what they are, they're very, very fine. I don't know what grit they'd be, but they're very, very fine. This one's a water stone. So I'm just going to do that edge back and forth a few times with the Aloxite. So what we've done, we've put a 24 degree bevel on this Swedish axe. Then we've taken the stones and we've taken the little lines from your grinder or from your axe. They'll both leave lines. We've stoned them out, not entirely because of time, but we're pretty close. And I'll go back and finish that so it's just a beautiful mirror finish. Then what we do is put the MicroBevel on the end. That's just that last millimeter. We just hold the stone up with our fingers underneath. That gives us enough of an angle to put a 1 millimeter finish on the edge of that. And then we go back and forth. Now that, it does a couple things. It gives you a really keen edge, and it also toughens your edge. Okay, now 24 degrees, as we know, is a lot of angle on an axe like this. It probably, 20 degrees was probably plenty, but I put 24. Because it is a little bit finer angle, sorry, what did I say, 20? Yeah, sorry, I put I put 20 degrees on this axe, and I probably should have gone 24 to 30. Okay, something that's a little bit steeper, but I didn't. I'm learning with these. Most of what I do is the big guys. So this is just finishing it off, back and forth, a few trips just to toughen that edge up and to make it nice and keen. That's ripped. And I should have the handle in it. Okay, but it'll go right down through it like butter. So there's our edge. I'm not sure if you can see if I put it up close here, but that's the finished edge, and it's fairly smooth along here. And then you can see the little. It's actually almost. There's about a 1/2 mil bevel out there on the edge. Okay, and that's finished our axe. So that's how to sharpen an axe. Now, of course, I haven't ground it all out. There's other things you can do. One other thing I want to talk about, though, before we do, and I haven't gone over it yet, but there's something called profiling an axe. Now, if you look at this axe, we know we have a 20 degree bevel here, okay? But if we look at from this cheek out to this here, right where that 20 degree is, if we hold a straight edge along there, you can see through it, okay? So there's a hollow behind this angle right here, okay? This is called a bust, and it matters. So this here's where your axe is gonna drag in the wood to here, but then after this, because this is hollowed out, this isn't gonna touch the wood, okay? So this here little, what we call a bust, blows your chips out. This is what helps remove the chips from your chopping face. So if you don't do that, if you just leave it straight out here, there's a lot more. If it's straight, the same angle, and see this one isn't. You can see the gap in there. Okay, if it's straight out, all this metal is dragging in the wood. Okay, a lot of friction, as we know. So what's happening is you're going to drive your axe in, then you're going to fight to get it out. So this here bust matters. So hollowing out in back of here is also very important. And most people never talk about it. We talk about this angle, about getting a nice cutting edge out here, but we never talk about what's happening back in here. Now, on our competition axes, we do something else. We'll actually take what we call wings. We'll carve out here, and then we carve out here. And that leaves a narrow triangle, so there's a lot less. And you see them, I'm trying to remember what, in these pole axes, there's a certain brand that you'll see they have this, just a strip in the middle here. Okay, it swings in and comes down, and that's basically the same thing. It's a wing, and it was done years and years ago because they realized there's a lot less dragging in the wood. Where's that? Okay, just a sec. I got another axe here. It's my boys. Okay, and you can see them in this chopping axe. Okay, there's a wing there. And if you look at it this way, you can see it's hollowed out in here a lot. Okay, so the wing out there, and there's a wing out here. Okay, so that just this section in here is dragging in the wood. Now this is called a banana grind. We haven't talked about this yet. Chisels are the simplest and easiest and most common by far. Doing something like this, a banana, this is basically flat from here to here, and of course it's shaped like a banana. And this is the rage on the chopping wood in Europe right now. But you can see what's wrong with this axe right here. We've got a bit of damage. So now that I have my grinder up and working and everything ready to go, I'm gonna regrind this baby too. So anyhow, and look at this here. This is his. It's a hexagonal. Or sorry, octagonal. Hex is 6, oct is 8. So it's an 8-sided handle. Okay, that's vintage. But he really loves it. It fits his hand beautifully, and actually, it's nice. He took this to Europe to compete with. So I've got to get back at that sometime. So, anyways, that's the new stones, the Sharp Pebbles, they're called, and they work beautifully. They do wear, like I've only done this little axe just a bit, and it's already cupped a little bit. So I'm going to take my other white stone and see how long it takes me to smooth that back out again flat. But I'm learning with these because usually I use the oil stones, the Norton. So, but I am very impressed with this. So that's sharpening. Lots more coming up. Be sure you subscribe because there's more coming at you next week.